The following is a presentation of iRacing.com motorsport simulations on LSRTV, the voice of sim racing.
Hello everybody and welcome to another round in the RSR Full Throttle Cup Series presented by Gary Mercer Trucking, coming to you live from the Great Southwest, the Phoenix International Raceway, hosting tonight's race for the RSR Full Throttle Cup Series. Hello everybody, my name is Justin Rosenau. Joining me in the booth tonight will be Austin Coop and Paul Fugate. And Austin, quick laps being laid down as qualifying's already completed. Private qualifying here tonight. Scott Eckrich on the pole with a 128.84 mile per hour lap.
Yeah, it's pretty darn quick there. You know, we have some really close times with some of these top guys. They're less than 1/1000th of a second between each other, the first two are, and then behind them it's a 10th back till about 11th, or not even 11th. I mean, it's about a 10th till 9th place-ish, so it's a really good thing to see. But we're going to get some really close racing, and you know, if anyone's raced at Phoenix International Raceway in these cars, they know that these cars are very slick around the track, and you know, you got to watch out for turn 4. Turn 3 and turn 4 are so treacherous at this track here.
Very much indeed. The banked part of the oval down in turns number 1 and 2 at around 13-14 degrees. It is progressively banked, so that you'll see guys eventually start to move up towards the outside wall, and it's pretty much a flat back straightaway. And then as they head up down towards turn number 3, turn 3 going to be the lowest part of the racetrack at around 7-8 degrees or so of banking down there in turns 3 and 4. And Paul, as Austin was just saying, 3 and 4 are going to be very dangerous. These cars with the new low downforce package, they tend to fight for a lot of grip, and I really think that turn 3 and 4 is going to be our big trouble spot of the night.
You know, and kind of do it, you know, from that aspect. Just
Okay, as we move a little bit further along here, qualifying in the books, and we'll take you for your sim experience starting lineup on the pole tonight with a time of 27.941 seconds. That's good enough for 128.841 mile per hour. That's going to be the 70 of Scott Eckrich. Starting on the outside pole will be the number 9 of Anthony Nabarro. Starting third in the number 5 will be Dan Murray from Steel Horse Racing, starting his outside. In the number 13, the defending Full Throttle Cup Series champion, that's going to be Dwayne Vincent in the Haviland Ford, and rounding out the top 5 will be the 45 of Carl Shedd.
It's going to be Chad Cole starting in 6th place, with Matt LaCrosse starting 7th. Daniel Everhart is going to start 8th. Mitch Rollo is going to start 9th, and Greg Evans rounds out the top 10 in that number 23 car.
The number 15 of Scott Sibley will roll off in the 11th spot. The 12th spot goes to the 66 of Brian Harvey. The 99 of Stefan Marinak will roll off 13th. 14th to the 87 of Christopher Hurlow. The 69 of Corbin Hemstreet will roll off 15th.
16th in that number 25 Intel car is going to be Joseph Theis. Thomas George is going to start 17th. Jose Gonzalez starts 18th. Kyle Taraska starts 19th, and Michael Montesi starts 20th.
21st to the 12 of Ross Cato. The 2 of Rhett McBride will roll off 22nd. 23rd to the 48 of Kevin Linden. The 51 of Nick Silver will roll off 24th. And 25th to the 34 of Sean Boundy.
Steve Gottschalk starts 26th, David Washington 27th, Tim Matthews 28th, Scott Stenzel 29th, and rounding out the top 30 is going to be John Abbott.
Starting 31st in the 44 will be Braden Whitaker. The 92 of Jason Lester will roll off 32nd. And 33rd, the last car to take time, will be the 29 of Brennan Mercer. First car to decline taking time, taking a provisional in the 34 spot, will be the 7 of Nelson Rivera. The 80 of Mike Kelly will round out the top 35.
In the last 4 cars starting on the grid, it's going to be Sean Casto, Doug Roth, Rich Jett, and Douglas Wyatt starting 39th last on the grid.
That'll make up your 39 cars that will start the race here at Phoenix. It's going to be a 135 lap affair for 135 miles here at the Phoenix International Raceway. The car is rolling off the grid here. It will be the first of 2 parade laps around this track, and to take you through these first couple of laps, Austin, low tire pressures, and like you said, turns 3 and 4 being the danger spot. Really, what are you looking for? Are we looking for a big pileup around mid-pack?
I'm not sure that we're going to have any of that too early. I think these drivers are going to really test the car out a little bit and see what it's worth. They've had a lot of practice time. As the pace car's actually going down this time here, Justin.
Pace car going to dive to the safety of pit road. The American Ethanol green flag waves in the air. We are underway as the 70 of Scott Eckridge going to get the break on the field. He's going to pull out over the 9 of Anthony DeBarro. He's going to slide down to the bottom and out of turns number 1 and 2. The top 5 goes single file. First car back for position. As I say that, battle for the lead. The 9 of Anthony DeBarro. He's digging hard to the inside of the 70 of Scott Eckridge as they sail off towards turn 3.
Yeah, and we see a lot of races here with these cars, and whoever gets out front early typically will be able to surge quickly, as they almost make contact on the front straightaway right there. And Anthony DeBarro does have the low line, does have a good run, but it seems like the high second line, really not the high line, but the second line does have a little more speed in 3 and 4, but not in turns 1 and 2. And you can see how far down you can go onto the dog leg right there as they continue to fight. And it looks like Anthony DeBarro is going to have the advantage here. Maybe not. That 70 car of Scott Ettrick almost got him on the outside, but it'll be Anthony DeBarro on the line that time by leading the first lap of the day.
2 laps already into the books already. DeBarro out front, top 5, single file. We did have somebody looking for position. That's all single file out, as I believe the top 20 have all indeed gone single file here on the racetrack. First battle for position going to be outside the top 20, and here's going to be the 96 as well. He's digging pretty hard as well. That's Mitch Rollo. He's actually looking up there in the top 8, so he's looking, but not getting anywhere there close to getting around the 21 of Matt Lacrosse. And Matt Lacrosse has been on a tear already. He slid back a little bit there on the start, but he gained a couple of positions, getting around the 8 of Chad Cole, the 96 of Mitch Rollo. And it's a little bit of a gap there as a little bit battle shaping up there for the second spot. Dan Murray looked to the outside of the 70 of Scott Eckridge. Those two are teammates, and he also has the 13 of Dwayne Vincent, the defending Cup Series champ, in tow right there as they come off turn 4.
Yeah, I tell you what, third on back to about 6th or 7th, they're getting pretty scrunched in turn 3 and 4. A lot of these guys behind the 70 car of Scott Ettrick, that's actually the second place on back. They're kind of bunching into turn 3 a little bit. Some of the guys behind them are taking a little more off because they are able to suck up to that back bumper. As we see the 13 of Dwayne Vincent, he's hitting a little
trouble.
bit.
One car around the 31 of Mike Montesi goes around in turns 3 and 4. That'll put us underneath the caution flag for the first time here tonight. And after the caution flag flies, the 28 is going to slam inside the 31 of Mike Montesi, and that's going to end up being the 28. That's going to be Douglas Wyatt. And poor Douglas, he just kind of had nowhere to go. Just Montesi had to come up the track. Just law of physics there, Austin, and that will put us underneath the caution flag for the first time here tonight.
Yeah, and it looked like he was going to be unscathed, Mr. Montesi, but he's going to have a little bit of work to do in the garage for this one, and they're not happy with each other right now. They're discussing the on-track incident currently, and if I was Montesi, I would be wondering why someone hit me after the caution flag already flew, but it seems like he had really nowhere to go, and we look at the replay there.
Soft tires already playing a factor. A few drivers electing to stay out. That includes the 5 of Dan Murray, the 13 of Dwayne Vincent, the 24 of Thomas George, and the 26 of, that's the Meatball Mobile. Jose Gonzalez staying out as well as the 9, Anthony Navarro, the 70 at Eckers. The first 2 cars on pit road, they in their pit box. Right side's going up on Navarro, right side's as well going up on the 70 of Scott Eckridge. One thing I know, Austin, I was watching the lap times. They were already off about a half a second from where they qualified there as the cars are down and away. Navarro going to win the race off of pit road. Ecker's going to be right there. The 99 of Marinak with a great stop. He's right there. He comes off 3rd off of pit road, but there's going to be a few cars ahead of these guys that elected to stay out and get track position.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing to do for a lot of these guys. A lot of these guys are going to take a lot of position, and the guys who are up front right now, Dan Murray and it looks like Dwayne Vincent, they're actually going to have a really good time here because it's going to be a while before those guys with the new tires catch them, and I do think that will be a factor. It's going to be a huge factor because, you know, as you said, they're about 5, half a second better now. Of course, with qualifying times, it probably realistically comes to about 4/10 to 3/10. But you know, you think about that, that's a huge advantage that these guys have now, and a huge disadvantage to the guys who didn't come in. Now, the guys who do have new tires are definitely going to have to dig a little harder for these spots because they're not going to want to give them up willingly.
As a reminder, the Full Throttle Cup Series here for Real Sim Racing is presented by Gary Mercer Trucking. Established in 1982, Gary Mercer Trucking has the experience and expertise that your freight deserves. Our specialty is in over-the-road, less-than-load, and full truckload freight services between Ontario, Canada, and all points in the United States. And as we should be getting the 1 to go, Dan Murray electing to stay out and take the track position. He was 3rd there with a caution flag flew. He will move up to the top spot. Dwayne Vincent, the defending champ, he'll be starting outside of him in the 2nd spot. Thomas George, Jose Gonzalez, Rhett McBride, Nick Silver, Steve Gottschalk, the 7 cars that elected to stay out off of pit road this time. And then the first car right behind them, I believe Sean Castle either have stayed out or took 2 tires. Anthony Navarro, the first car on 4 fresh ones, he'll restart 9th. The 10th spot goes to the 70 of Scott Eckridge. So those two mired a little bit back in traffic. Gonna have to see how this plays out. I don't know, Austin, how well this is going to work. Old tires versus new tires. The guys that are 9th on back, they're going to be trying to eat these guys alive here, even though it's just about 6 green flag laps on the tires.
I think these guys are aware that it is only lap 9. They'll be completing lap 9. It'll be lap 10, and they still have over 100 laps to go. So I think a lot of these guys are going to be aware of what they can do. And in the long run, these guys with newer tires are still going to be a lot better. So I think if they keep that in mind and they don't panic, you know, I think everything will be fine. But you know, we have to still think about these guys being hungry to get that track position early.
Pace car dives to the safety of pit road, fielded in the hands of Dan Murray. He's waiting. He accelerates, coming up through the gearbox. He is back underneath the green flag. Thomas George had a little bit of wheel spin there. Car got a little bit tail happy there. That's going to allow the 13 of Dwayne Vincent to jump around the outside of George to claim that 2nd spot firmly. One car already down, well onto the apron. That's going to be the 9 of Anthony Navarro. 4 wide as they're on the back straightaway.
That was huge, and he made up a ton of time right there. He's going to get some more spots, didn't you? Okay, this definitely takes the equation out of the books for later. You know, these guys know if they just saw what Anthony Navarro just did, they need to think about that later because he's now gaining. I think he's going to get 5th place here off of Jose Gonzalez. That's 4 spots within 2 laps. That's an immensely. It's an immense advantage that these guys are going to have on new tires. Of course, he's making the most out of it. The other guys behind him that had tires, they're not doing so well as he is, really, as we're having a little bit of a cluster right back for 8th, 9th, and 10th place here.
You're seeing the 99 of Stefan Marinak be the cause of that. Last time around to the dog leg, he did the old monkey see, monkey do. He went way down onto the apron, took 3 wide there to get up into the A spot there around the 91 of Steve Gottschalk, who's got his hands full. The 45 of Carl Shedd right there up into the battle as well. The 91 of Steve Gottschalk has kind of given up a lot of spots here on this restart. He was one of the last cars on old tires, and he's kind of free-falling through the field, along with the 1 of Sean Casto, the 90 of Daniel Eberhardt, and the 8 of Chad Cole, all there trying to use up their tires to try to get around them. But as I say that, it's just you have to be careful a little bit further back in the pack, as there's a pass around the 51 of Nick Silva, the 99 of Marinac, up to 7th as well. And that's going to allow the 70 machine of Eckrich to kind of close up on that battle, along with the 96 of Mitch Barolo. These guys really working hard to kind of use up what they got. And again, the 45 of Carl Shedd looks to the inside of Goschalk, and Steve just wisely just gives the guys the inside line. He knows he's on older tires, even though they're just 6 laps older. Austin, we're seeing tires being a huge advantage already in the early going.
I tell you, something I'm looking at right now is Dwayne Vincent. He's in second place. He's been getting ever so close to Dan Murray in these corners. You know, I don't think he's going to try and make the pass right now, but he definitely is closing in about every lap. I mean, he's letting off earlier into turn 1 and turn 3 and able to rocket his way out of the corners. I feel a little better. As you can see, as he goes through the dog leg, he's definitely faster. Dan is trying to make the most out of that dog leg, as it's a shorter route. I think Dwayne definitely has the better approach to it and the better car at the moment, but he's being caught by Thomas George and Anthony Navarro right now. We know Anthony has better tires right now, so this should be an interesting battle to shape up real quick. Looks like Anthony Navarro is going to try for the inside dog leg move as he did earlier, and Thomas is not going to give up. He does give it up. He's not going to take it for a fight, so he's down the top 3 after about 5-6 laps.
That's a bit of a surprise. There's no love lost between those two, Thomas George and Anthony DeBarro. DeBarro up to 3rd. Meanwhile, a good battle a little bit further back. The 70 of Scott Eckrich working to the inside of the 51 of Nick Silver. Eckrich was there wheel to wheel and still is door to door with him now in turns 1 and 2. He's going to try to dig hard up out the corner there. He will actually clear the 51 of Nick Silver. He's going to try to bring along the 45 of Carl Shedd and the 90 of Daniel Eberhardt. Those Aegis teammates working very hard, but the 23 of Greg Evans trying to come to the rescue. It's pretty much Aegis and Steel Horse here through that battle in the pack, and then there is a caution flag on the speedway.
Yeah, we're trying to figure out what the cause of the caution is currently.
Hearing it's going to be the 92 of Jason Lester, and he will be the caution car and lost it in the dog leg the last time around, so that'll put us underneath the caution flag. For the second time tonight, replay going up on your screen showing what happened to the 92 of Jason Lester. And he just simply lost it there as we were just watching it for ourselves. Leaders coming to pit road, but at this time, we're going to take our first caution flag of the evening. You're watching the RSR Full Throttle Cup Series from the Phoenix International Raceway here on LSRTV and iRacing Live.
Did you know that Lion's sense of vision is so powerful, it actually enables nearby creatures to see better? Here we see lions assisting the offspring of others, while their parents are elsewhere in the wild. Brilliant, isn't it? Making the wild kingdom look much better indeed. Do good, be a lion.
Trucking has always been a part of me. It started years ago when my dad and granddad were hauling vegetables to market in Liverpool. The family immigrated to Canada in the late 60s and settled near Alliston, Ontario. I bought my first truck in 1982 and Mercer Trucking was born. Today, Mercer Trucking has over 50 trucks in terminals in Toronto and Los Angeles. Our storage facilities at both terminals can handle any size of distribution needs throughout North America. We service the continental U.S., including Hawaii and Alaska. We run over 120,000 miles per month and some of the best equipment on the road today. We specialize in less than truckload shipments, show freight, We do rush team service deliveries and haul your refrigerated or heated product. Our regular team service from Canada to California is second to none, and our staff and drivers are among the best in the business. I'm proud of our people and what they can achieve. Trucking is in my blood, it's my livelihood, and it's what I do best.
While lions are notorious for their voracious appetites, they spend a great deal of time feeding other creatures. In fact, lions will take great care to ensure there's plenty to go around. As you can see, they keep giving with utter ferocity. Bravo, lions, and bon appetit. Do good, be a lion.
Welcome back, everybody. Lights off on the American Childhood Cancer Organization pace car here for the RSR Full Throttle Cup Series Phoenix 135 here from the Phoenix International Raceway Field. Going to be in the hands of the 99 of Stefan Marinak, the 26 of Jose Gonzalez, the two former Wolfpack drivers there. They are 1-2 on the racetrack, and most everybody else come down to the attention of their pit crews there, I do believe. So field going to be in the hands of the 99 of Stefan Marinak, and the green flag back in the air as they are underway. And again, once we're seeing tires already coming to a big factor here as the 13 of Dwayne Vincent got really good tires. He's looking at the inside of Marinak, and DeBarro trying to take it 3 wide for the lead through the dog leg as they come down towards turns number 3 and 4. Vincent going to take the lead. DeBarro going to have to back out of it, but he's right there on the preferred line through 3 and 4, and he will indeed clear both the 26 of Gonzalez and the 99 of Marinak as they set sail off turn 4.
Oh, and we got a wreck on the front straightaway. That's a 26 car and the 5 car, and they're not the only ones. It's not over yet. Oh, big wreck.
Big wreck right here on lap number 23. That started with contact off of turn 4 between the 26 of Jose Gonzalez, the 5 of Dan Murray. Got the big piece of that, and that's not what Dan Murray needs. Poor guy has not had a bunch of luck here in the RSR Full Throttle Cup Series this season, and he's been really close. Replay going up on your screen. You're just going to see right there off of turn 4, it looked like the 26 of Gonzalez just lost it. Collected the 5 of Marinak. A couple other cars got involved. I'm seeing the 66. The 44 is well involved. A couple other cars I see involved back there. I see the Kentucky car as well. Looking to get a number for you here in just a few moments. But upwards of 5, 6, 7, 8 cars involved here, taking damage here in the caution flag on lap number 22.
Yeah, there was some cars that could not do anything about it, Dan Murray being one of them. But it looked like almost, if you see the replay, that if Dan Murray hadn't have been there, that Jose might have been able to actually catch that. It just really stinks that there's nothing he could do. And almost, I don't know if he even knew he was coming down that hard. And then when there's only so much room on the front straightaway when you have 2 cars spun out and stopped. So definitely an unfortunate thing for Dan Murray. Bad luck for him, and I'm sure he's upset. And there's a couple other drivers that barely got woed up, as I'm seeing the 21 and the 54 car. They barely got woed up. They may have some front end damage, but that's just something we're going to have to look at later. It is a flat track, so it may not be so bad for some of those guys, but some of these guys did get some heavy damage.
Another one of the partners here for the RSR Full Throttle Cup Series is SimVibe by SimExperience. SimExperience is a premier motion simulator manufacturer with expertise in electronics, engineering, manufacturing, and software development. Their products are utilized worldwide in driver training facilities, homes, simulation centers, and race driver development programs. Again, you can go see them at www.simexperience.com today. Field underneath the caution flag again for the 3rd time tonight here. And we are working lap number 25 right here. Dwayne Vincent going to assume the lead along with the 9. Anthony DeBarro going to restart 2nd. The 2 of Rhett McBride is going to run 3rd at the moment. Thomas George in the 24 will ride 4th. And Stefan Marinak, he's being scored 5th, but he come down to pit road. And I believe Mitch Rollo will indeed assume the final spot in the top 5.
Yeah, we're here with Dwayne Vincent in the number 13 car. He's leading right now. Dwayne, how you feeling in that car right now? How's it feeling out there?
It feels pretty good. I just wish those two guys wouldn't have stayed out and caused these problems. But the car feels good, man. I'd like to see some long runs. I think we'll be real good on long runs. So having some fun. I like this play.
Yeah, it looks like you are doing pretty well there. On that restart, you had to really navigate your way to the front, but it seems like you really had to do that so you could avoid all the chaos, and that's exactly what you did. You have a hard-charging Anthony DeBarro behind you. We were noting that just a little bit ago. What are your plans with maintaining the tires and entrance in the corners?
Yeah, I mean, you're just going to try to back these turns up a little bit and kind of take it easy on exit. Turn 4 is a little tricky on older tires, but yeah, I've been watching Anthony. He's coming back up front, so we'll be watching for him.
Dwayne, you're the defending Cup Series champion. No stranger in how to figure out how to get around these guys from Boomtown. And you did have the best of tires here from the shorter, longer run, so to speak, about 10 laps or so. You stayed out, and we'll quickly let you get back to it, but tires going to be the king tonight?
Yeah, I thought we made a bad decision by staying out, but with only 5 laps on them, it wasn't bad at all. So kind of learned something there, and we'll hopefully be able to use it later on in the race.
All right, man, we'll let you get back to it. That's Dwayne Vincent. He's currently leading in the Haviland Ford, and as the field gets ready to come back underway, it's going to end up being here Anthony DeBarro to his outside again. Rhett McBride in the 2. He is right there. Green flag getting ready to wave in the air. Pace car comes down to the safety of pit road. Austin, it's all yours, buddy. Dwayne Vincent, Anthony DeBarro, they're side by side as we enter the restart zone.
Yeah, here comes Anthony DeBarro, and Dwayne Vincent comes out in a strong restart there. He's going to have the corner by about a car length right there, and Anthony DeBarro is going to slide it in, and they're going to be 2 wide behind them for 2 rows deep here. And then we have a hard-charging DeBarro coming in. He's not going to try a dogleg time this time, but he will be very close on the back bumper as we have 2 wide behind them for position. We're almost having 3 wide with Thomas George right there. That was really pretty close. But back up front where all the good action is for the first place here, and it looks like we got some really 3 wide, almost 3 wide behind him again. As the 24 car goes to the bottom, definitely a huge block by him. He's trying to block the 296 car in the 70, but it looks like he's going to be overtaken on the outside by Scott Ettridge, and Moore and company is going to be coming right behind him.
Thomas George playing a little bit of games with the Boomtown cars right there. Eckridge in the 70 and the 23 Evans, both teammates of the 24, Thomas George. And the leader, Dwayne Vincent, under assault from the 9 to Anthony DeBarro. DeBarro sitting there working the back decklet of him, looking to the outside through turns 1 and 2. He has a run, but has to let off just a little bit there. It looks like DeBarro got a little bit arrow tight off the corner there. Vincent certainly running a safe line through turns 1 and 2 as the field sorts itself out there. Top 10, 12, 13 cars now single file on the racetrack. First battle going to be somewhere back around the 98 of David Washington. I see the 1 of Sean Casto. Excuse me, the 8 of Jack Cole back up around the 14th spot. He lost the spot to the 98 of David Washington that time. Washington started 27th, a very uncharacteristic starting spot for him. Started a little bit deeper in the field than he would like. Already up 13 spots. He's up to 14th and on the move.
Yeah, the top 10, or the top 12 really, is all single files. We got a little bit of contact in turn 3. Oh, Mike Kelly and company. We have a huge wreck, huge pileup. This is the big one, guys. And the 48 barely snakes his way through there. Holy cow.
The big one underway here. We're going to see the 87 of Christopher Hurlow in his machine going to get a big piece of that. And it looks like contact between, I want to say, the 25, Joseph Tice. Replay going up on your screen, you'll see entering turn 3. It looked like the 25, that's going to be Joseph Tice. Indeed, gets a big piece of the back end of Mike Kelly. Christopher Hurlow nowhere to go. He's going to collect the 42 of Scott Stenzel. And I also see the 10 of John Abbott going to pile in there. Who else is going to get a big piece of this? I want to say the 91 of Steve Goschalk behind them. The 7, the 36. Rich Jetty, last year's Daytona 250 winner, gets a big piece of that. And I'm also seeing the 92 of Jason Lester going to be involved, and that's the second caution that Lester's been involved in. Tough luck for him, as well as there's upwards of 10 cars with damage off of this incident on lap number 31.
And looking at the replay at first, or looking at the accident at first, you would assume that the 25 was completely at fault. But going back, it looked like he was running the same line as the guy in front of him, and maybe he should have given a little more room. But it's really hard to say whose fault that really is. I mean, from a spectator's point of view, it's really hard to say. I do feel like they kind of went towards the same area, and that's why they came together. I don't think it was either driver in particular's fault, but definitely an accident that could have been prevented for sure. I mean, it's another restart accident, and these guys really need to give a lot more room. I know the guys up front want to keep racing the way they want to race because they've been having some good action up front.
Phoenix International Raceway, it's a track you set up like an intermediate track, drive it like a short track, and we're certainly seeing the short track mentality. Cautions, breeding cautions, as we're already working the fourth caution of the evening. Dwayne Vincent out front. He stayed out, and I believe the car right behind him is a lap down. I want to say it's the 31, the 29 of Brendan Mercer, going to move up to second. Mercer has stayed out. He started 33rd. He was way back in the pack there. So it's going to be interesting to see if the 31 is going to be given a wave or something like that. May end up having to drop back to the tail of the field. Brendan Mercer and Dwayne Vincent, those two out on old tires. Right behind them, the Anthony DeBarro machine, the number 9 on 4 fresh Goodyear Racing Eagles, along with the 70 of Scott Eckridge and the 2 of Rhett McBride. 3rd, 4th, and 5th, Austin, all on fresh tires. And we did have a couple laps there, and I really think it's going to start to show here once we take the green flag.
Oh, I totally agree. We're going to see it time and time again that getting new tires is definitely going to be the most opportunistic thing to do in the long run, because if we have more than 10 laps to go, I think all these guys should be coming in. I could only see a 2-tire or no tire stop later on if it comes down to less than 10 laps to go. But to see it happening anywhere in the next 80 laps would be interesting, as we have about 100 laps to go here coming this time by, and we're going to go 2 wide. I don't think the 2-tire stop would be a bad idea later on with maybe 20-30 laps to go, but no tires is you need that drive off. In order to get that drive off, you need those inside tires. So 4, I think, would be opportune the rest of the way.
The lights are off on the American Childhood Cancer Organization pace car field in the hands of Dwayne Vincent. The 29 of Brendan Mercer came down to pit road, and he came down and took 4 tires here at the 1 to go. So Brendan Mercer going to drop to the tail end of the longest line. Field in the hands of Dwayne Vincent, and Anthony DeBarro to his outside on 4 fresh tires. And as the pace car gets ready to make the hard left-hand turn to the safety of pit road, field in the hands of Dwayne Vincent as they enter the restart zone. The green flag back in the air. We are underway for the 5th time here tonight. And Anthony DeBarro going to try to jump to the outside of the 13 of Dwayne Vincent, who's on older tires. 4 fresh tires is going to look strong for Anthony DeBarro here while he still has them working to the outside right now, around the outside of the 13 of Dwayne Vincent. It's going to be a pass for the lead. Going into turn number 3, DeBarro clears the 13 of Dwayne Vincent, and that just goes to show you the power of 4 tires as Eckridge now works to the outside of Vincent off turn 4.
Yeah, Eckridge going to get a great run out of turn 4. Going to maybe look for a little bit more going down into 1, try to clear that 13. He's able to get the job done. Taking along with him the 23. That's Greg Evans looking for another good run here. Had a great run last week, looking for a little more. Meanwhile, almost 3 wide back behind Eberhardt. That's also the 2 of McBride and the 96 of Rollo. Those guys are fighting back there. And now Evans able to clear the 13 of Dwayne Vincent as they come out of 4.
The field all smothered and covered right there from about 7th on back behind the 96 of Mitch Rollo. The 90 machine of Eberhardt looks to the inside of Dwayne Vincent. The 96 of Mitch Rollo looks to the outside of Eberhardt. There's the all side by side, multiple rows deep there. Eberhardt going to work the apron along with the 96 of Mitch Rollo, the 2 of Rhett McBride. And how about the 13 of Dwayne Vincent? He's hanging tough on older tires, but just goes to show right on the brake. It looks like new tire is going to be better than old by a large margin off of turn 4, especially getting into turn 3, as that's what we see Anthony DeBarro do. Just powered it in deep and got around the 13 of Dwayne Vincent. And as the 51 of Nick Silver looks to the inside of the 45 of Carl Shedd, and Carl Shedd doing the best he can to hold on to that 10th spot. Nick Silver in the gained Ford Fusion looks to the inside of the 45 as Shed as they're wheel off of turn number 4, and Nick Silver going to get the run, but battling back around the outside with help from his teammate. It's going to be the 45 of Carl Shed trying to bring along the 98 of David Washington. They're stacking up right here at the edge of the top 10. The rest of the cars in the top 10, top 9 are all single file. All Anthony DeBarro out by a half a second. That's about 6-7 car lengths over the 70 of Scott Eckridge. Greg Evans rides along in third. Eberhardt rides fourth. And Dwayne Vincent still holds on to that top 5 spot.
Yeah, and as they head back down into turn 1, Eberhardt maybe looking to pick up and get on that podium here as he's starting to close the gap on Greg Evans in that Amsoil Chevrolet. Meanwhile, behind them, Dwayne Vincent still trying to hold on. The next guy he has to worry about is that 96, the Custom Gaming Garage Chevrolet of Mitch Rollo. And how about a little bit of a rebound for Carl Shed after last week, trying to keep that momentum up, trying to get some good runs in here. Didn't get the finish he was hoping for, the win. He's always been a good driver at Dover. Didn't get the finish he was looking for, but he's actually dropped a few positions, but has been rebounding. Meanwhile, David Washington up to 12th as they're side-by-side right behind him, Taraska and Marinac. But jumping back up, you can see the 96 beginning to close on that 13, as well as the 90 on the 23.
Dwayne Vincent still holding strong on his older tires. He's got about 10 more laps or so on those Goodyear Racing Eagles as the 96 of Mitch Rollo. He's in there. He's sniffing the back end of Dwayne Vincent right there. Going to see how close he can get. The gap is 1 car length off of turn number 1 and 2. A little bit further back, the 98 of David Washington looking to the inside of the gain Ford Fusion of Nick Silver as he does indeed thinks better of it right in front of them. Carl Shed went to work on the 2 of Rhett McBride, just kind of moved him up out of the way through turns number 1 and 2 and easily dispatches Rhett McBride off of turn 4. But as I say that, Rhett's looking back. He's looking for the crossover move, but not going to get there as they enter turn 1.
Yeah, if only he got to the gas a little earlier would he have been able to try that crossover move. But yeah, I think definitely was that did not have the momentum he was looking for there. Carl definitely had a huge run off, and he's looking for the next guy. That's going to be Sean Casto in the number 1 car. He's looking for him next, and I think he definitely has the momentum enough to pull it off, and he does. He goes to the inside. He's going to try and take 7th, and he's not going to try and take it. He did. He let him over, and that's a really respectful thing. We see that all the time, but maybe he's going to try and come back, but nope, he's going to go and follow that Toyota right till the next corner and maybe try and follow in the footsteps for the next couple guys.
Carl Shed on the march in that Aegis Toyota Camry, and right behind him, the Bojangles Chevrolet of Sean Casto started 36 up to the A spot. He's been the big mover of the night thus far, and in front of Sean Casto, the 24 Thomas George clinging on to the 7th spot for the moment. 2.6 seconds back off your leader, Anthony DeBarro. Give a call to him. He's run up inside the top 3 for a few moments, but he's been kind of hovering around that 6th, 7th spot and may need just a little bit more out of that car if he wants to run up in the top 5 and claim his first win of the season.
Yeah, a lot of these guys are going to try and win their win any race of this of the season because they know the implications of the championship for them. All these drivers want to be there at the end and shot for that because in one of these races, you got to be toward the front basically the whole race to really have a shot at winning because of just the format of the racetrack and how important being up front is with that clean air. When you get back in the pack, it's really hard to pass people, and then once you're fighting for about 5 to 6, 7 laps, you're letting the guys in front of you get away, and it's going to be like that the whole race, especially if you're really far back and you have a good car. So trying to stay up front is basically the most important thing, and the best guy or the guy who's doing it the best out there currently is Anthony Navarro. And when he got all those tires and was able to pass that 13 car, we knew he was going to be able to take a break. But he's not out of the neck of the woods yet because Scott Eckridge is there, and he's closing just a little bit. It was 45 hundredths of a second off, and now he's 4 tenths this time by. So he's coming close. He's getting there ever so quickly there.
Anthony Navarro still out front, about 4 car lengths between himself and the 70 of Scott Eckridge. We're going to take this moment to step aside here and catch a breather of our own here. You're watching the Phoenix 135 for the RSR Full Throttle Cup Series presented by Gary Mercer Trucking, coming to you live on iRacing Live and LSRTV, the voice of sim racing.
For iRacing to get Le Mans is huge. I mean, this is a unique event, a unique track where, you know, half of the track is public road, so you can never test on it, you never get experience on it, and it's 8 miles in length, 4-minute lap time in a GT car. So, you know, even if you're here for an hour of testing, that's only 15 laps, and you're only going to see the corner 15 times that day. The first section going through the Dunlop area is pretty unique. You know, it's got elevation change and off camber. Then you go down Mulsanne into the chicanes, and you know, the straights are unbelievably long. It's a tricky track, and you know, every year I've come here, this being my 4th year, you learn something new every time.
We've wanted to add Le Mans to iRacing for a long time, and we've really been working hard towards it for the last 5 years. But really, things only came together in the last week leading up to this race, so it was a real scramble to put everything together. The majority of Le Mans is public roads, so when they're preparing for the 24-hour race, it's really the only time that we can visit to laser scan and photograph the track so that we can recreate it in iRacing. We work closely with the ACO to get essentially exclusive access to the facility and everything that we needed to get the laser scanning and photographic reference that we need to create the track. We were very fortunate to be at Le Mans at the most important time of the year and gain that experience of being there. And we're going to really do the best we can to put that into our work and making sure that the Le Mans in iRacing is the best Le Mans, the most exciting and accurate recreation of the track possible.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Phoenix 135 for the RSR Full Throttle Cup Series here on iRacing Live and LSRTV. Anthony DeBarro still out front. Scott Eckrich closing in on him. The gap is around 3.5 car lengths as he's reeled that down a little bit over the commercial break, but a good battle heating up for that 5th spot. The 96 of Mitch Rollo has caught the 13 of Dwayne Vincent, who's done very well on older tires, if I might add, and he's doing his best to hold off the 96 of Rollo, the 24 of Thomas George, and the 45 of Carl Shedd. Those 4 drivers, you can pretty much throw them underneath the blanket. George kind of looked like he just made an interesting move there, Austin, looking to the inside of Mitch Rollo there in the 96. There a little bit of mind games there, and like I said before, there's been no love lost between Boomtown, and that's the 96 of Mitch Rollo, and the driver from the Steel Horse camp, the 24 of Thomas George. Those drivers mixing up the chrome horn quite a bit through the late stages of last year and through the early part of this year. So it's going to be interesting to see here because, like I said before, this is the track that kind of races like a short track.
Oh yeah, and you're seeing Mitch Rollo drive extra hard off these corners. You're seeing him get really loose off of 4, and you saw him just get a tiny bit loose off of 2, a little bit of a wiggle. And you can see he's trying much harder. And I think he would be wanting to drive right now because he knows once he gets past Dwayne, he can then go a lot harder and a lot faster and then catch the guys in front of him. But they're 2 seconds behind Daniel Eberhardt, who's a second behind the leaders. So they're about 3.5 seconds, almost 4 seconds behind the leaders, and they know that the only way now that they can catch him is to get by Dwayne Vincent and then give a hard charge on.
Eckrich is right there knocking at the door. The gap is inside of 2 car lengths there. He's kind of sniffing around, looking to see what he can get. And he tries to get some air on that left front corner. You're going to see it here as they go through turns number 1 and 2. DeBarro going to drift up a little bit, and you're going to see the 70 of Eckrich try to get some air on that left front corner on his race car right there over the nose. He lost a little bit of ground there off of turns number 1 and 2, but he charges it deep down into 3 and 4. He's going to stick 2 tires down onto the apron and right around the apex of the corner. And these guys that are getting around here at the front, if you notice, Austin, they're kind of doing a double apex, kind of like what we've seen Kevin Harvick do back in February for the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series race out here. They did the double apex here, hit the apex once in turn 3, drift up, come back, and hit the apex for turn 4. And these guys kind of got this track figured out a good bit, and that's really interesting to see because you're seeing Eckridge use a slightly lower line on the double apex there as he tries to close that gap on the 9 of Anthony DeBarro.
Yeah, and that double apex, for those at home who don't really know what that means, is that they're taking a shot at the inside and then coming up and coming back down again to get the most speed possible. And I think that these guys are taking, at least Scott Eckridge, he's taking the most out of the corner as he can chew. Anthony DeBarro is definitely taking a more subtle approach to it. He's almost taking a single apex and going right there. So we got another caution here.
Caution flag on the speedway. I do believe the 91 of Steve Gottschalk looks like he could be the reason for the caution there. And he's got heavy damage front and back. I also see the 36 of Rich Jetty. Looks like he's a big smoker down there in 3 and 4. Let's see what happened there on the replay. But I believe the 36 of Rich Jetty replay going up on your screen. And indeed, I do believe you're going to see the caution. Actually, no, the 24, Thomas George. Big accident and stack up the 99 of Marinac, the 36 of Jetty, the 7 of Nelson Rivera. Also involved in that, and that's the reason why we were underneath the caution flag. And Carl Shedd claims the caution on that, and I believe that might be his second claim caution.
Yeah, he definitely just dove it in there, and that's a huge pile of. We talked about pre-race show how if there was going to be any cautions at all today, they'd be in 3 and 4, and we've already seen 3 of them either coming out of 4 or getting into 4 of the cautions that we've had. I just want to say that number 1 car of Sean Casto, he barely got out of that. He did hit the wall, but he could have done a lot worse hitting that 24 broadside first. So I just want to give a props to that driver. That was a great maneuver to get out of that. But I think he's going to come down to pit road to get some damages here this time by, because he did scrape the wall a little bit.
Interesting battle coming off of pit road. I want to say the 21 of Matt Lacrosse might have taken 2 tires. He was a little bit further down the running order there and was scored 7th, and he's going to beat Anthony DeBarro and the gang off of pit road. Very interesting to see what his pit stop time was, but he beat the 90 of Daniel Eberhardt. Really? Well, okay, and I hear the 21 of Matt Lacrosse just drove through pit road there, so that would be the reason why he gained all that track position on everybody. The 9 of Anthony DeBarro there, he's going to kind of lose a little bit of ground to these guys. A little bit further back, 90 of Eberhardt, the 70 of Scott Eckridge, the 13 of Dwayne Vincent. And how about the 23 of Greg Evans? He's kind of silently put himself up inside the top 5.
Yeah, silently but surely, he is definitely there, along with a couple other new faces that we're going to see. We're going to see Daniel Eberhardt and a couple other guys that are up towards the front that we haven't seen in quite some time. So we're trying to get a driver on the line for us here.
Daniel Eberhardt, Justin Rose now inside the Sim Experience broadcast tower. You got a copy?
Yes, sir, I do.
Kind of marched your way up a little bit there. Started 8th, was a little bit outside the top 10 there through a cycle of pit stops. Now you're going to be up inside the top 5 there when Brendan Mercer comes down to pit road. Looks like you're coming to the 1 to go. You got what it takes to get up there because it's pretty much been the Anthony and Dwayne Vincent show throughout the early stages.
I don't know. I just feel like I don't have any drive off the corners. It's like they can get into the throttle earlier and just gun it off the corners, and I can't. I have no rear grip once I get into the throttle, so we're going to see what we have. Finally, I'm up here to show what I got, so I can see a good shootout at the end of this thing.
Well, good luck to you. Mash the gas and give it all you got, brother, and we'll hopefully see you in victory lane here tonight.
Thanks.
That's the driver, the number 90, Aegis Aegis Chevrolet. A little bit different. I'm used to seeing the Aegis guys running a bunch of Toyotas, and David Washington actually drives the Chevrolet for that team as well. As the pace car gets ready to dive down to the safety of pit road, Anthony DeBarro, Greg Evans, Greg Evans on the outside in second. The 90 of Daniel Eberhardt rides third, and the field comes to the restart zone. Anthony DeBarro not going to waste any time. He's on the hammer already. Big move by Kyle Taraska. Went from the outside to the inside there as they cross the start-finish line. That restart may be under review, Austin. We'll have to see what happens there. But Taraska on the charge already as they're 3 wide for second, just about. Dwayne Vincent tries to stick the Haviland Ford up into there. Trying to work to the inside of the 70 of Scott Eckers, and 90 Eberhardt, who you just heard from. He's sitting there trying to get to the back bumper of Greg Evans, but it's pretty much Anthony DeBarro by about almost a half a second there, adding the break there, as after 1 lap for Green, he's already out to a 0.4 second lead over Greg Evans.
Yeah, I don't think that there was anything wrong with that restart, because the outside line just looked like it didn't go as good. That 13 also, Dwayne Vincent also got a really good shot for getting under that 70 car, but he thought better of it and then tried it in the next corner. A couple of these guys got some really good restarts. They're just following the guy in front of them, and if you got a better view on the leader going, because he can go whenever he wants to, as long as you can see when that leader's going, you probably have a better view if you're farther back and not in second or fourth, because those are a little bit of blind spots for some of these drivers.
Battle for position on the racetrack at the moment. The 45 of Carl Shedd working to the inside of the 5 of Dan Murray. This battle going to come around that 14th spot there. Is Shedd going to clear the 5 of Dan Murray right there for the 14th spot right there? And I do believe the 21 of Matt Lacrosse going to try to stick his nose up in the battle. Was running up front early, and it looks like he got a big piece of damage there in a couple of those skirmishes, and that's not what the driver from Elwell, Michigan wants to have, and he's really doing his best to claw his way back up there. Matt Lacrosse was hoping for a better run, as he does very well on the short tracks here in the RSR Full Throttle Cup Series.
Yeah, back up front, we're seeing Daniel Eberhardt slowly closing the 23 of Greg Evans. He was almost on the back bumper of him getting into 1, and he talked about how he didn't have any drive off compared to these guys, and I think he's either finding something or he's just doing it better than the 23 right now, as he's coming in a little higher in turn 3 and able to get maybe a little bit of the double apex here. See, he's able to get in the gas quicker, like he said, but that 23 car is just a little quicker off of that, and he does barely scrape the wall off of turn 4. He's trying everything he can, as he mentioned in this little interview that we had here. He's on the apron. He actually got a little too much of the apron, bought a bit off more than he could chew, and he started skating up the ice off the top of the track.
And as we have crossed the midway point of the evening, it's now time for the iRacing.com Midway Race Break. And it's brought to you by iRacing, the world's premier online racing game with professionally organized racing from NASCAR, Indy, IMSA, and more. Out front right now is the number 9 from Boomtown Sim Racing, will be the 9 Anthony DeBarro. The 23 Greg Evans rides second. The 90 of Daniel Eberhardt rides third. The 70 of Scott Eckers will ride fourth. Fifth goes to the 13 defending Cup Series champ Dwayne Vincent. The 96 of Mitch Roller will ride sixth. Seventh to the 88 of Kyle Taraska. Eighth to the 25 of Joseph Tice. The 1 of Sean Castro rides ninth. And completing the top 10 is the 51 of Nick Silver.
Scott Simley is going to be in 11th. Kevin Lindy 12th. Carl Shedd 13th. Ross Cato 12th. Or not 12th, 14th. Dan Murray coming for a rally for getting in the wreck earlier. He's running at the top 15. Matt Lacrosse 16th, Tim Massey 17th, Thomas George 18th, Brennan Mercer 19th, and Rhett McBride 20th.
21st to the 91 of Steve Gottschalk. The 98 of David Washington rides 22nd, the last car on the lead lap. 23rd, 4 laps down, is the 8 of Chad Cole. The 11 of Stefan Marinak appears to be behind the wall, 11 laps down. 12 laps down in 25th is the 7 of Nelson Rivera. Rich Jetty behind the wall in 26th. 27th to the 69 of Corbin Hemstreet. The 42 of Scott Stenzel. Looks like he's riding 28, 20 laps in arrears, 21 laps down in 29th. Will be the 31 of Mike Montesi. The 92 of Jason Lester will round out the top 30.
30th on Becker, 41 plus laps down after those first couple accidents, and that would be Jason Lester, John Abbott, Christopher Hurlow, Mike Kelly, Sean Boundy, and Jose Gonzalez. Sean Boundy's having some connection issues. He's trying to get into the race as much as possible at the moment. Brian Harvey, 36, Braden Winterker, 37, Douglas Wyatt, 38th, and Doug Roth finishes out the field right at the moment 39th, 74 laps down.
This has been your iRacing.com Midway Race Break. For more information on the wide variety of sim racing possibilities online, visit iRacing.com to sign up today. You can use the LSRTV promo code by entering PR-2016 LSRTV when you register for a new iRacing membership to get the late model free of charge, along with the 13 cars and 14 tracks included with a first-time subscription. And again, this copyrighted broadcast is presented by the authority of LSRTV LLC and iRacing.com Motorsport Simulations that may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form in the accounts and description of this event, may not be disseminated without the express written consent of LSRTV.
Back up front, we have the lead getting really close to Greg Evans. Greg Evans is getting a lot closer. He's pulling away from Daniel Eberhardt, and Anthony DeBarro is letting him in a little bit. But look at Greg Evans' line. He's changing it up just a little bit as he's really weighing it down into 1 and then cranking it down off of 2. And let's see what it does off of into turn 3. He's gonna try and do the same thing, I think, and maybe these guys behind him better see what he's doing, because he's definitely taking off a lot of time.
Looks like the tires are fading there on the driver, the number 9 Boomtown Sim entry. The pit stop report on board the number 9 Chevrolet of Anthony DeBarro there. Also looks like he has a little bit of a connection issue, Austin, and I seen the car warp out a little bit and just did it again right there through the dog leg. And if you're Greg Evans and Daniel Eberhardt, you're right there trying to battle for position, but you kind of have to be careful and make sure you have double the room, because you don't know where that car is going to be, especially when it disappears from the racing surface.
Yeah, even if they're that close, he got really close to him in turn 3 and 4. But even being this close, an internet issue could happen, and it could predict your car to go about 3 car lengths further on than it actually is, and nobody really wants to see that. They're going to have a great race coming soon, permitting that the internet holds up. And we're seeing that 70 car. That's going to be Scott Eckrich we talked about earlier. He's trying to make a dive down in the bottom of the 90 car of Daniel Eberhardt. Didn't work that time in turn 3, but he's definitely showing. He's there and he's trying it again. This is going to be a good battle, because we know he's got a strong car, and he got shifted back in the pack off of pit stops, but he's showing Daniel that he is right there.
Eckrich in the hunt as well. Greg Evans looking to the inside of your leader, Anthony DeBarro there, almost looking like he's got a quarter panel on him, and DeBarro going to shut the door off of turn number 4, going to drive back around the driver of the Amsoil Chevrolet, the 23 of Greg Evans. And Evans is just doing the best he can to get there, and he's got a better car at the moment, but DeBarro just a little bit more determined at this stage of the race, as we're all coming up on 50 laps to go here, and just a couple more laps here. So we're starting to enter that stretch drive in the all-important go zone as the 9 at DeBarro blinks in and out once again. And you have to wonder if race control is taking notice of this, because after a while they may be asking DeBarro to slip to the back to try to fix his connection.
Yeah, and in a way, it's almost a disadvantage, or it is a disadvantage to the guys behind him, because when he blinks out, there is no draft that is transmitted through the sim to the 23 or the 90, for that fact, the extra draft that he would be getting. Not that it really second that you can follow on the trail of the guy in front of you. It's not good for the 9 either, because he does not get as much traction while he is intermittently out of the sim. We are going to start catching lap traffic, so this may be where Greg Evans starts to lay a pick, as they're actually getting him really quick here, guys.
A little bit interesting battle there around the lap car of Scott Stenzel. Greg Evans right there on the back bumper. You got the 70 of Scott Eckrich right there trying to beat down the back door Daniel Eberhardt, and don't count out the guy in 5th. He's the defending Cup Series champ, the 13 of Dwayne Vincent in the Haviland Ford. He's just sitting there being patient, trying to watch this unfold, and I like Dwayne's approach. He's, the cautious racer. We watched him points race his way pretty much until about the end of the series last year, when he really started taking dominance, and I believe won the finale at Homestead to win the title. So if you're Dwayne Vincent, you got to like his driving style. He's calm, collected, waits till the end of the race to really kind of start pressuring guys. And as I say that, we are coming up in this time by. It's 50 laps to go for Anthony DeBarro. He's trying to hold off Greg Evans and Daniel Eberhardt and Scott Eckrich. Can he get it done, Austin?
Well, going back to what you said about Vincent, I'll get back to the Greg Evans because I do think he might be able to get there. It's just time and waiting and patience of a good opportunity. But Dwayne, he's actually in a really good spot right now because he's about a second and a quarter away from the leaders, and he's got about a second and a quarter to the guy behind him. So, he has no pressure on either side, and he's actually taking a little bit off of the lead as they keep fighting. He's saving his tires. He's being conservative, as you say, and I think he's in a really good seat right now if it goes green all the way because, with the way he's saving, it's going to be quite interesting as it gets interesting up front as we're getting a little bit of an accordion effect that all three drivers are about nose to tail there, first through fourth.
As the 23 of Greg Evans looks to the inside of Anthony DeBarro once again, he just kind of has to think better of it and pulls away just a little bit from Evans, does DeBarro. And that's going to allow the 90 of Eberhardt to kind of use the dog leg a little bit to look to the inside of Greg Evans. Lap traffic certainly coming into play. The 7 of Nelson Rivera kind of gives a little bit of an aero bubble that stalls out the 9 of Anthony DeBarro, and that's going to allow the 23 of Greg Evans to get right there. He's looking to the outside, but he's going to have to work around the lap car Nelson Rivera, and that's really interesting. Did you notice that, Austin, there? The 23 of Evans backed up the corner. He let out earlier than what I'm used to seeing him do, and now he's got a big run down the back straightaway. He's breathing down the neck of DeBarro just once again.
Vincent, he tried to go under the apron to pass Daniel Eberhardt that time when he was expecting that lap car to be there. But instead what he did, that's actually Eckrich, my bad. What he actually did is he went under the apron and he actually skated up the track like it was an ice rink, and he lost a bunch of time. So like we said, lap traffic may not be an immediate thing, but he tried to take off more of that apron that I think was that car was going to allow without having a little bit of an issue. But Dwayne Vincent, he was right there, almost forced the issue, but he backed up and he's going to lose some time. But that loses the pressure now on Daniel Eberhardt. He's definitely going to be throwing the car in a little more because he doesn't have any more pressure on the back. But now Greg Evans is going to have an issue because now he's got Daniel Eberhardt breathing down his neck. And Daniel Eberhardt's a pretty feisty racer.
He is, without a doubt. He's all heart, as we like to say around here at LSRTV. He's working down the back deck lid of the Steel Horse Chevrolet entry of Greg Evans. As Evans just trying to close that gap. It's a little over a half a second that last time by. He closed it down, but only by 1/100th of a second. We're calling about 7 or so car lengths as they exit the turns number 1 and 2 on the dogleg back straightaway. And DeBarro looks like he's trying to drive away from Evans at this point. Don't know after Evans trying to get there and trying to get around the 9 of Anthony DeBarro if he's used up his stuff, or if now that everybody's kind of giving each other a little bit of space to race the top 5, pretty much under a blanket within about a second and a half, and then it's about 2.8 back to the 6th spot of Mitch Rollo, and then from there actually call it 3 seconds, and then it's about a half second back per car all the way throughout the top 10, and the only one close for battle inside the top 10 other than Greg Evans, Dan Eberhardt, is going to be around that 9th spot, the 51 of Nick Silver and the 45 of Carl Shedd. Those two have been going at it all race long. We'll try to cover that battle here in the later stages because that's a very interesting battle as Nick Silver trying to drive away from Carl Shedd. He's beating down the back door lid of the 1 of Sean Casto.
Yeah, these cars are really pretty spread out and not. It's weird. They're very evenly spaced out, as if they're giving enough room to each other. The next closest battle is going to be that 16th, 17th place spot between Ross Cato and Kevin Linden.
Battle for P3 just won already there through turns 3 and 4. The 70 of Scott Eckrich got around the 90 of Daniel Eberhardt there. Don't know if Daniel just lost the rear end on that car going down the back straightaway, but Eckrich set him up for the pass, and it looked like possibly a strategic move by Eberhardt to allow the faster car of Eckrich to start working his way back up towards the AMSOIL Chevrolet of Greg Evans in second. And Evans is on the hunt once again. The gap was over 0.6 of a second a couple laps ago. The gap was down to 0.537 the last time by as they come across the start-finish line right now. The gap going to slightly increase, 0.561. DeBarro and Evans trading laps here as we get inside of a 40 laps to go here at the Phoenix International Raceway.
Yeah, it did look like Daniel gave him the room. Daniel tried to go in a little higher to see if there was any speed, and, well, Daniel Eckert just said to himself, you know, if you're going to leave a spot open for me, I'm going to go ahead and take it. So that's exactly what he did, and now he's going to be on the hunt for second place as he's on that last podium spot, trying to get up to the front.
And Eberhart sliding back into the clutches of the 13 of Dwayne Vincent. And Vincent's just using the slow and steady approach. And this may actually become a fuel mileage race there. We took the green with about 75, 80 laps to go. And that's going to be out on the outer edge of the fuel window for these Cup cars here. And may take some fuel saving here as we've been pretty much underneath the green flag. Pretty much the first long run we've seen tonight. And Dwayne Vincent, and this is what he's really wanted, as he works to the inside of Daniel Eberhart, will clear him, move the defending champ up to the 4th spot. As he clears Eberhart and relegates Daniel back to the 5th spot. So the driver, the number 90, looks like he may need a couple of adjustments there. But Evans and Eckrich, the two Steel Horse teammates, trying to work in the back deck lid of the 9, Anthony DeBarro there from Boomtown Sim. Those three drivers starting to separate themselves from 4th and 5th, and that's Dwayne Vincent and Daniel Eberhart.
Yeah, and looking back up front, Greg Evans just took off 2/10 from Anthony DeBarro, and Scott Eckert was right behind him, so either DeBarro had an issue or these guys were really rallying, but it seems like the battle's going to really intense here soon as DeBarro's, I think he's slowing up a little bit. I think his tires are just a little bit used up more than these guys, trying to play defense while these guys are, you know, just being in his, you know, just following in his tracks here.
We're seeing the natural ebb and flow. One guy pushes harder till his tires get heated up, and the other guy starts to fade away a little bit. And Greg Evans looks like he's fading just a little bit more. Looks like a car length or so opened up off the back straightaway. But Greg Evans going to work the inside line through turns 3 and 4. And you see DeBarro, he's kind of searching for grip there through 3 and 4, and that's really going to allow Greg Evans to close that gap back up once again. And he lost about 0.06 of a second there to Anthony DeBarro here. But as we watch the battle here for the top 3, we'll catch those thoughts on the flip side. We're going to go LSRTV nonstop and bring you live coverage of the stretch drive for the Phoenix 135 for the RSR Full Throttle Cup Series. You're watching this on iRacing Live and Live Sim Racing TV.
While lions are notorious for their voracious appetites, they spend a great deal of time feeding other creatures. In fact, lions will take great care to ensure there's plenty to go around. As you can see, they keep giving with utter ferocity. Bravo, lions, and bon appetit. Do good, be a lion.
Welcome back, everybody, to the late stages here for the Phoenix 135 for the RSR Full Throttle Cup Series presented by Gary Mercer Trucking. You're watching Anthony Navarro pull away here in the late stages as we're coming up on 25 laps here to go from the Phoenix International Raceway. Pit stops underway for some of the drivers here inside the top 15, and you see the 25 of Joseph Tice trying to work around the 9 of Anthony Navarro to unlap himself here as we're almost, I want to say, about 2.5 seconds off the pace from where these guys were qualifying and running here at the beginning of their last runs here. Tice clears the 42 of Stenzel and then your leader, the 9 of Anthony Navarro. The gap 1 second back to the 23 of Greg Evans, and Scott Eckrich in the 70 all over the back deck lid. And how about Dwayne Vincent? He's clawed his way to the fight there. The second, third, and fourth place cars all underneath the bubble.
Yeah, and that was all due to the lap cars trying to unlap themselves. They kind of got in the middle of the fight between Greg Evans and Eckrich, and that allowed Vincent to get up there a little bit and allow some space between Greg Evans and Eckrich for them. And we're seeing some interesting things here. We're back with Mitch Rollo, and the fight for second is now heating up a whole bunch. I don't think it's going to follow into turn 3 and 4 as we get some. Oh, he set him up for a pick almost there. He has nowhere to go, and some of these lap cars are wanting to go.
The 70 of Scott Eckrich, the 23 of Greg Evans, wheel to wheel, almost banging doors off at turn number 4. Who's going to use the lap car as a pick? And right now it looks like it's going to be the 70 of Scott Eckrich using Scott Stenzel as the pick. And right now the 91 of Steve Gottschalk going to clear both the 23 of Evans. And here comes the 13 of Dwayne Vincent as he's working back to the inside of Evans. Evans tries to draw close to the back of the Toyota of Scott Eckrich as they're wheel to wheel in turn number 3. Dwayne Vincent, he's banging doors almost with the 23 of Greg Evans. Now moved Vincent up to the 3rd spot as these guys are swapping positions like crazy here on the racetrack as we're coming up on 20 to go.
And you gotta wonder, when we watch these guys go green flag, you don't really notice how much they're actually losing speed. And then when you see these guys with newer tires, it almost looks like they have like rocket boosters on their cars. They're just going so much quicker. And you gotta wonder if you're really one of these guys that are staying out, do you come in and pit soon because of the way they, just the way that the tires are, how fast they are? I mean, you gotta wonder as a leader, as a guy farther back in the pack. Once one of those guys went, everyone towards the back was gonna go because they knew the advantage of getting that extra time. But we also got to think about fuel. We did talk about that a little bit, and the fuel run is very close. I think some of these guys are gonna try and muster their way to make that fuel, but I don't know if all of these guys are going to be able to make it. In particular, I think Greg Evans has kind of made vows to him and his crew that he was saving earlier, and now he's not, and possibly he could make it all the way.
That very well may be the case, and Anthony Navarro looks like he's just going to give it gangbusters and try to drive away. 2.2 seconds the gap between himself and the 70 of Scott Eckrich, and the defending Cup Series champ right behind Eckrich. That's the 13 of Dwayne Vincent in the Haviland Ford. He's working to the inside of Scott Eckrich, and you have to see these 3 in 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. They think that they notice that their fuel is coming extremely low, so that they're trying to just save what they got and hope that Anthony Navarro runs out of fuel as this time by, as the leaders cross the stripe, and what's now going to be this last time by. We are under 20 to go here, so it'll be 19 to go when the leader hits the stripe this time by, and it looks like the 9 of Anthony Navarro kind of got hung up by a lap car. That's going to allow these 2nd, 3rd, and 4th place cars to close in, and man, it's very interesting to see because you see cars that are at full speed just trying to go like gangbusters to get back up there. And how about Joseph Tice? He was 1 lap down a couple laps ago. He's up to 15th, 22 seconds back, and he's closing in at about 2 seconds a lap.
Yeah, that's something we need to keep an eye on. Is we also need to look back at Greg Evans, who's lost a lot of time. He was in 2nd place about 20 laps ago, and now he's in 4th. And we're seeing some really close action with that lap car and Scott Eckrich as he's in 2nd, and that was Corbin Hemstreak. He's about 16 laps down. and they were very close. You could barely fit a piece of paper between those guys. That was some really close racing. Is you're going to see Eckrich almost scrape the wall. That was really close, and it looks like Dwayne Vincent's going to go all around on the outside, or at least try. That was really close, and they almost touched doors right there. I think that was Scott Eckrich trying to show up. Oh, and they do touch now. They do touch. This is a great battle. I don't think Vincent's going to appreciate that, but he definitely has the drive off, and he's going to make it work.
We'll see what happens down in turn number 1. Eckrich is going to dive low right next to the inside pit wall. Vincent going to try to use the outside of the banking there on the cooler part of the racetrack. Eckrich gets a little loose off of turn number 4, and that's going to allow the advantage be given to the 13 of Dwayne Vincent. He's going to rocket around him around the outside and set sail into turn number 3, and that's going to allow the 13 machine of Dwayne Vincent to try to start saving even more fuel. As we're coming up 16 laps to go this time, it's still Anthony DeBarro by about 2.7, 2.8 seconds. To call it 2.7 this time as the leaders cross the stripe. You have to wonder, is DeBarro saving fuel, or does he know something that the rest of these guys don't? Because it looks like the rest of these guys in second, third, fourth, fifth, all just trying to save fuel, praying that they make it to the finish.
And I don't think Dwayne really has to work that hard at saving fuel, because his tires are definitely better than Eckrich's. You know, he saved before I think all of these guys did. It looks like Greg Evans has come down pit road. That's an interesting call this late in the game.
And it looks like Greg Evans may possibly take a 2-tire strategy and a little bit of fuel here. We'll see what happens here for him. But he's going to bite the bullet and come down to the safety of pit road, take attention to his car as well. We'll see what happens here. Greg Evans comes to a stop in his pit box. Right side's going to go up on the Amsoil Chevrolet. We'll see what happens. It looks like a half a can of fuel, and he's down and away. 2-tire stop indeed for the driver of the Amsoil Chevrolet. Going to see where he cycles back out, but he's a lap down already. But who's he going to come back out in front of?
Yeah, it looks like he's going to be just a lap down, and he's going to come out right behind the guys. Looks like right where he was. He's going to almost block that number 5 car, Dan Murray, but you know he's definitely on good tire, so he's going to be able to rocket way past them, and you know, he's going to go right by these guys too. Where he goes could alter the race for these guys too, trying to battle for second place as well. That's something to think about as he gets into him. He gets into the 70 of Scott Eckrich, and 3 wide off the corner.
3 wide off the corner lap car is the 5 of Dan Murray, the 23 of Greg Evans, racing 4th position on the racetrack at the moment. That's going to be the battle for 17th spot, and Dan Murray almost slides up off the apron and collects the 13 of Dwayne Vincent, and Evans sets sail. He's unlapped himself around the 13 of Vincent. The 5 of Murray going to safely try to look to get around the 13 of Vincent, and he easily does so, and that's going to allow the 70 Eckrich to start closing in the gap once again. But you have to wonder, did DeBarro save early enough in the run to make it to the finish? We're coming up on 11 laps to go. Next time by for your leader, Anthony DeBarro, as he comes through turns 3 and 4. We'll check the gap as they hit the stripe right now, and it looks like DeBarro clips the stripe right now, and we'll see what the gap is as Vincent comes across the stripe. It was 2.6. It's 2.6. He took about a little over 100th of a second off of DeBarro's lead. You have to wonder, is Vincent really trying to stretch what little fuel he has left?
Yeah, and I think DeBarro, you know, if he was really trying to save, we would notice pretty well, but he must actually be good on fuel at this point, or he's just gonna hope for a caution. You know, I know that some of these guys, when they're that far out, there's nothing else to do. I think he's got to save fuel. He's got 2.5 seconds on Dwayne Vincent, and as we talk about it, Dwayne Vincent shaved 3/10 off. So saving fuel, I think that's confirmed.
And let's give a call to the driver, the number 15, Scott Simley. Worked around the 88 of Kyle Taraska. That's a pass for the 6th spot on the racetrack if they can come around to the start-finish line. Simley trying to work up to the back end of the 90 of Daniel Eberhardt for that 5th spot. So Scott Simley with a great run in that 15, and again, a good call to him because Simley really needs a good run here in Real Sim Racing. Meanwhile, as we look at the gap, as we're under 10 laps to go here, For the Phoenix 135 for the RSR Full Throttle Cup Series, it's Anthony Navarro by 2.43 seconds over Dwayne Vincent. Scott Eckrich in third, 3.3 Mac. Nick Silver, 5.3. And how about this? Mitch Roll, the first card on new tires, is up inside the top 10. He's 10.8 seconds back off the leader, and he's charging hard, about a second per lap. Not sure he's going to have enough time to get there, but he's working this group really hard. He's looking to the inside of a couple of lap cars. He's right there on the back deck lid of 88 of Kyle Taraska, and almost gives a shot to him down in 1 and 2.
And watching this guy, he's going to take at least a couple more spots before this is over, just because he's, he has those new tires. But, also got to think about the possibilities. Some of these guys actually getting out, running out of fuel, as we're seeing some really close racing with Daniel Eberhardt in that 15 car of it looks like to be Scott Simley, which we're talking about him, and he's all the way back up to 7th. Probably going to take 6th place right here, and that's a huge deal, because if he can gain a couple more seconds on the guys in front of him, he can get all the way to Nick Silver, as he's going to get passed by Christopher Hurlow. Maybe not. He's going to think better of it. He is a lap car racing with some lead lap cars at the moment. He's got to think better about it, or just get out of there, because he's messing with some positions as the 25 car almost gives him a shot.
And we'll see what happens here in the late stages. Mitch Roll on the charge, 7.9 back. He's riding in 5th at the moment. Dwayne Vincent cut the gap down from 2.4. It's 2.2 as we're coming around this time by. 5 laps to go for your leader, Anthony Navarro, through 3 and 4. He's pretty much just clear sailing, just trying to avoid what's coming there, and we'll have to see, is Dwayne Vincent going to try to go for all it's worth as we come around. It is indeed 5 laps to go. The gap 2.1. Vincent not closing enough to make it matter here in this late stage of the race.
Yeah, I'm watching him get into the corners, and Dwayne Vincent is catching, but watching Navarro get into the corners, he's very easy on the gas coming out of the corners, which is where you would use the most amount of gas. He's barely getting on the gas until he's on the straightaway, so he's definitely saving, but is he saving enough? Only he and his crew will actually know for sure. It's going to be really close, I think. Dwayne, I think, is doing the exact same thing. And there's also the possibility that they can't go any faster because, their tires are so old. And, with new tires, these things will try and whip around on you. So, just the last couple of laps here, or last few laps, really, just going to have to watch how this one really plays out. It's going to be interesting.
3 laps to go for your leader of Anthony Navarro. Mitch Roll gets around the 51, and Nick Silver for 4th. He's 4.5 seconds back. He's going to have to pull a 2.5 seconds a lap if he wants to get to the back bumper of Anthony Navarro, and we'll have to see what happens there. He took almost a second off the last time by. Through 3 and 4 for the final time. 2 fingers being displayed to your leader, Anthony Navarro, as he comes across the stripe. Does he have enough fuel?
Oh man, this one's going to be close on fuel and close for Mitch Rollo. I think there's no doubt in my mind he's going to get a podium. Whether he can get silver or whether he can get, first place here, that's going to be an interesting thing. But it looks like we got the 23 down pit road again. I don't know whether he had a pit road speeding penalty, but that's a bad break for him. Yeah, he had to come in for looks like a few seconds. That's a really bad break for Greg Evans, as he was in the top 5 at one point, and he's going to be a couple left down, or at least 1 lap down at a 20th place.
White flag in the air for your leader, Anthony Navarro. 4 corners and a dog leg left for him. Does he have enough fuel? The gap 2 seconds back to Dwayne Vincent, 2.5 to Mitch Roll, who's cleared the 70 of Scott Eckrich as he comes through the dog leg. No trouble for him. Lap cars up ahead, not going to be a factor. Through 3 and 4 for the final time. Does he have enough fuel? Mitch Rollo clears Dwayne Vincent for a second. Coming out of turn number 4, checker flag in the air. Yes, he does have enough fuel. He does it. Anthony Navarro will win round number 11 at the Phoenix International Raceway. Navarro wins the Phoenix 135 again for the RSR Full Throttle Cup Series.
And Rollo was second. If he had 1, maybe 2 more laps, he would have been your winner by a long shot. So strategy almost paid out for Rollo, and that was actually a really interesting way to finish off things. The lapped cars were able to have so much speed, and Anthony DeBarro, he saved enough fuel, and so did Dwayne Vincent and Scott Eckrich. You know, those guys did make it on fuel, but they were just battling too much to be able to contend with the top spot, really.
And good on Anthony DeBarro as he gets ready to burn it down on the front straightaway. He's right there at pit exit or pit entrance in turn number 4. Going to do the sideways burnout down the banking and tap the inside. Safer barrier. And he's going to burn it down on the front straightaway and try to collect that checker flag from the start finish line there. DeBarro, I do believe, with his 3rd or 4th win here in the Full Throttle Cup Series on the 2016 season. He did very well last season, acquitted himself nicely, and he looks to be the threat for the championship in 2016. Stay tuned, folks. You're going to come up back, and we'll catch you up with the LSRTV post-race show coming back to you on the flip side. You're watching us on iRacing Live and LSRTV, the voice of sim racing.
Trucking has always been a part of me. It started years ago when my dad and granddad were hauling vegetables to market in Liverpool. The family immigrated to Canada in the late 60s and settled near Alliston, Ontario. I bought my first truck in 1982 and Mercer Trucking was born. Today, Mercer Trucking has over 50 trucks and terminals in Toronto and Los Angeles. Our storage facilities at both terminals can handle any size of distribution needs throughout North America. We service the continental U.S., including Hawaii and Alaska. We run over 120,000 miles per month and some of the best equipment on the road today. We specialize in less than truckload shipments, show freight, we do rush team service deliveries, and haul your refrigerated or heated product. Our regular team service from Canada to California is second to none, and our staff and drivers are among the best in the business. I'm proud of our people and what they can achieve. Trucking is in my blood, it's my livelihood, and it's what I do best.
Welcome back, everybody, to the LSR TV post-race show. You watched live coverage of the Phoenix 135 for the RSR Full Throttle Cup Series presented by Gary Mercer Trucking. You saw the 9 of Anthony DeBarro steal one away from Mitch Rollo, his teammate, who tried to use the tire strategy. He saved more than enough fuel. He had enough fuel there, Austin. He burned it down on the front stretch and blew it up.
Yeah, that was. I think we overhyped the fuel there a little bit. You know, we thought everyone was coming down there for fuel. Maybe most of them were, but I think Anthony DeBarro was so far ahead that maybe he even saved fuel at the end just so he could do a burnout. So I think fuel did matter a little bit, but I think Mitch Rollo came in definitely for tires, and we'll hopefully get a word with him later and ask him about that here shortly.
Going to go to the full field rundown for you. Anthony DeBarro takes the victory. The 96 Mitch Rollo on the middle step of the podium comes home second. And Dwayne Vincent holds on for a third place finish. And fourth spot goes to the 70 of Scott Eckrich. The 51 of Nick Silver will finish fifth. Joseph Tice finishes sixth. Seventh to the 15 of Scott Simley. Eighth to the 45 of Carl Shedd. Kyle Taraska will finish ninth. And Daniel Eberhardt will round out the top 10.
Matt Lacrosse finishes at 11th. Dan Murray finished 12th. Tim Mastew 13th. Sean Casso in the number 1 car finished 14th. Kevin Linden 15th. Rhett McBride 16th. Brennan Mercer 17th. Thomas George 17th. Ross Cato I'm sorry, Thomas George 18th, Ross Cato 19th, and the first guy a lap down, Greg Evans, finishes out in the top 20.
21st to the 91 of Steve Gottschalk. 8, Jack Cole, the winningest driver all time, will finish 22nd. 23rd to the 98 of David Washington. 24th to the 69 of Corbin Hemstreet. The 7 of Nelson Rivera finishes 25th, 20 laps down. 22 laps down in 26th. Goes to the 42 of Scott Stenzel. The Christopher Hurlow machine finishes 27th, 58 laps down. 70 laps down in 28th is the 10 of John Abbott. The 99 of Stefan Marinak will finish 29th, and rounding out the top 30, the 36 of Rich Jetty.
Mike Tessie finishes out 31st, Jason Lester 32nd, Mike Kelly 33rd, Sean Boundy 34th with connection issues, Jose Gonzalez 35th, Brian Harvey 36th, Braden Whitaker 37th, Douglas Wyatt 38th, and Doug Ross did not start the race, and he would be noted as 39th. And I believe Justin has caught up with our race winner, Anthony Nabarro, in Victory Lane.
Down here in Gatorade Victory Lane, Anthony Nabarro comes up out of the car and gets a big shower from his Boomtown Sim teammates. Anthony, you kind of stole that one a little bit. Was it more fuel mileage like we were thinking, or was it just plainly tires?
I think I had about 10 laps or so left in the tank there, so fuel was never really a thought in my mind. It was just the tires coming, and I really think if Mitch would have pitted a lap or two earlier, he would have had me there, but I got burned twice at Dover. I think you guys remember that last week, and I wasn't doing that again.
Well, you got yourself a handful of wins already in 2016 to complement what you were able to do last year. Looking forward, you really kind of assert yourself as one of the dominant drivers so far in the 2016 season. Carrying this momentum forward to the chase at the end of the regular season, do you have what it takes to go through and claim your first series title?
You know, honestly, I really haven't been thinking about that yet. I'm just having my team, we're just having a blast. We're going out there bringing fast race cars to the track every week, and we're having fun, I can tell you that. And we're going to keep having fun and keep winning races until someone dethrones us. And, I mean, obviously we're leading with 5 wins. We're a little behind in the team standings because unfortunate circumstances, but we'll get there. I feel really good about us tracks going forward, especially Charlotte. I think Mitch is going to have everyone covered there. I know how good he is there.
Well, you say that, but you can't deny that to yourself. I mean, you stole one last year in the Truck Series, the Outlaw Truck Series last year, over one of the dominant drivers of last season, Jeff Ward, to get your first RSR victory. Charlotte being a good place to you. Looking forward in the Cup car, now that we have the lower downforce, the cars handle a little bit more squirrely like the trucks. Do you have what it takes to park it in Victory Lane here in a week's time?
I mean, with the race cars that we're bringing, I think we really could win anywhere, but I just try to take one lap at a time and minimize mistakes, because since Vegas, I've been having quite a few mistakes on my part, so the team's been doing their jobs, I haven't, but we luckily we put this one together. I really honestly feel this is one of my most complete races in the Full Throttle Cup for a win, actually.
Well, you have nothing to hang your head about. You have a 22-point lead over your nearest competitor in Daniel Eberhardt here after the completion of round number 11. It doesn't mean much at the end of the regular season, but you're certainly putting on them. I mean, you got a couple of wins, 6 top 5s, 8 top 10s. You can't do it by yourself, man. Who's responsible? Who is the people that put you here in Victory Lane here tonight?
Oh, I'd like to thank Pit Stop Designs, Ben Kilcrease, Mitch Rollo, my teammates, Corbin, team owner, Jared. It was nice to have him back on top of the box this week. He's been absent for a couple weeks, and obviously Sean coming on board. He's been a big help. He had some trouble tonight with his connection, but we'll get him going, get him a win, Corbin a win, and get them two in the chase.
And that's the driver who came home with the big W here tonight, the number 9 Pit Stop Design Chevrolet of Anthony Nabarro. And moving down pit road, Austin Coop, you caught up with the driver of the 96. He stole home a second place finish via tire strategy.
Yeah, I'm here with the 96 of Mitch Rollo Gaming Garage Chevrolet. Mitch, you took tires, and it almost seemed like we were actually thinking about it. It's a fuel strategy, as these guys as the race kept going, it looked more like these guys were going to make it on fuel, and you somehow got your way to second. What was the plan going into taking that pit stop when no one else did?
Oh, honestly, I had no idea if it would work or not, but we were running sixth, and I absolutely killed my tires. So I figured may as well try something to try and do some strategy, get back to the front, and thankfully it worked. If I would have pit 1 or 2 laps earlier too, I probably could have beat Anthony. So that kind of sucks, but it's awesome to see Boomtown back in victory lane. It's been a while, so I'm just happy about that.
Yeah, Anthony did mention that if you did go a lap or two earlier, that it would have been probably you. Now, you guys get 1-2 finish today for your team. How does that feel? And going forward for the team, how does that? What does that implicate for the future of the team here?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, it's when a team can finish 1-2, it's obviously a good thing, and we haven't been as strong as we could be the last little while, but obviously this is a step in the right direction, and hopefully we can carry it on to Charlotte next week.
Now, going back to those last few laps, you had Scott Eckrich and Dwayne Vincent in front of you with 2 laps to go. You passed them both, but it seemed like you had a little bit of help with flat traffic getting to them. Tell us how you were navigating your way with your new tires. Well, maybe not new tires, but your tires were definitely not as old as theirs.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I was trying my best not to wreck anyone coming up through there, and I apologize to Eberhard there. I kind of got into him with about 5 to go, I think it was, 6 to go, somewhere around there. So I apologize to him for that. But yeah, everyone raced me super clean when I was coming up through the front there, and they didn't have to. So I appreciate everyone racing me clean there.
Well, you do come home a very happy second, it seems. Who gets it done for you? We already mentioned Gaming Garage, but who else makes it happen for you?
Yeah, Kyle Stinger at Custom Gamer Garage helps his team out a lot, and so a big shout out for him, and then big thanks to Brock Hopkins for spotting for me tonight. He did a great job, and I got to thank all my teammates, Corbin Ham Street, Anthony DeBarro, Jared Como. He's back on the spotter stand tonight, so I got to thank him, and Boomtown Sim. Obviously, this team is awesome, and I wouldn't rather race for any other team.
Well, that is Mitch Rollo, your number 96 Gaming Garage Chevrolet, finishing it out second. And I do believe we have caught up with the number 13 of Dwayne Vincent, who also made it out on those longer tire run, but comes up third place. Justin, I believe you caught up with him.
Alongside the driver, the Haviland Ford defending Cup Series champion Dwayne Vincent comes home with a solid third place finish. Dwayne, looked like you had the car to chase down Anthony, and was fuel a major concern for you? Anthony said he had 10 laps on his car left. Where were you at the drop of the checkered flag?
Yeah, fuel wasn't a problem. That one run where or one caution where I was in the lead and stayed out and dropped back to 5th, I just never could recover back from that to get back up to the front. But yeah, fuel was never a problem. The lap traffic late in that, towards the end of that race, that was some pretty scary stuff. This car gets really, really wicked, especially in a dog leg and coming out of 4. But we made it through. We'll get out of here with a third place finish, and we're happy about it.
Looking forward there, you've been cool, calm, and collected. Mr. Consistency should be your nickname here in the series. I mean, you just kill them with consistency. Good points days. You steal a win every now and then. Looking forward, do you have what it takes, you think, in your car, especially with the new low downforce package, to really contend and defend your series championship from last year?
I think so. It's going to be a tough one again. If we're lucky enough to make it to the Final Four, it's going to be a tough race. The competition just seems to keep getting better and better every year. So hopefully we can make it there, and we'll give it a shot.
Looking forward to the next race. Go back to the mile and a half. You've done well at a few of them. You struggled at some of them. What's your outlook for Charlotte coming up? And do you have what it takes to park your Haviland Ford in Victory Lane?
I like the mile and a half, Charlotte, Texas, places like that. So I'm kind of looking forward to Charlotte. I think we'll be all right.
I think you'll be all right too, just judging by the fact I seen you last year win at several mile and a halves, including Atlanta for a memorial race last year about this time. And Dwayne, congratulations to you on your third place finish. Sponsors, shout outs. Who's responsible for putting you at the bottom step of the podium tonight?
Well, first off, thank you. We appreciate it. Mom and Dad at home watching. My buddy old John Abbott, glad to see he's running again. LSR and everybody at RSR for putting all this on so we could have all this fun.
That's the driver who won the 2015 RSR Full Throttle Cup Series Championship. Dwayne Vincent comes home with a solid third-place finish tonight. And congratulations to you, Dwayne. And looking forward to the final thoughts of the evening, Austin. Great race. And unexpectedly, we thought fuel was going to be more of a factor. Turns out not so much. But how about the tire strategy really coming into play? Because I really thought that was a really neat wrinkle we got to see developing with about 15 laps to go.
And it's interesting to hear Mitch Rollo talk about how he was doing the tires because he felt he had destroyed his, and he brought a lot of people with him. I feel like if he never would have went in, these guys would have came in later and later. I think I said it in the middle of the race how if someone comes in, we're going to have a lot of people come in, and he was the first to come in. That was definitely, I think, the turning point for this race was, I know a lot of these guys like Daniel Eberhardt, Matt LaCrosse, and a few other guys that were on the original strategy of just going the rest of the way, saying tires. They were looking at a top 5, top 6, but some of these guys have to settle with getting passed by 3 or 4 drivers that just took tires. So a lot of these guys are going to have to think about that, maybe do some testing with the tires and the fuel, because later on in the season, that could make or break a championship.
And that really interested me, Austin. Really, I've kind of been excited to see this low downforce package and the softer tires come into play, because it's really exciting to see a lot of the come and goers we've seen, and especially once somebody tries to short pit and try to get an advantage on tires, and it almost paid off. And like Anthony said there in his Victory Lane interview, if he'd have done it a lap or two sooner, he would have got to Anthony and actually passed him for the win. And I really like your thoughts on that, because tires really seem to be king tonight.
Yeah, I think it'll be definitely something that a lot of the people at home that are not racing today, that race in other series that we broadcast, or just other leagues in general, they have to think about. I think the only thing that would worry me is a caution that would have ever came out, but it never did. And for those guys who want to brave that, I think that will be a key to winning in the future.
And we're going to take this opportunity to thank everybody at LSRTV, Evan Pisoko, Andy Kessler, and producer Cisco Scaramuza down there pushing the buttons in the hauler tonight. And on behalf of everybody at LSRTV LLC, and on behalf of my counterparts, Austin Coop and Paul Fugate, I'd like to say thank you for tuning in, and keep it tuned in for the United Sim Racing Truck Series presented by the BNC Lawn and Landscaping Services and Simulation Solutions. Join the broadcast team at 10 p.m. on Saturday night for the LSRTV pre-race show, as they will kick it off once again on Saturday night for an action-packed Truck Series race, and you'll catch that also on iRacing Live. So for everybody tuning in, again, thank you, and we'll catch you on the flip side as we tune it in one more time, especially around that Saturday night truck race. Don't miss it, folks, and I'm excited about it. We'll catch you then, and good night, folks.
This copyrighted broadcast is presented under the authority of LSRTV LLC and iRacing.com Motorsports Simulations and may not be reproduced, retransmitted, or used in any form, nor the accounts and descriptions of this event disseminated in any way without the express written permission of Live Sim Racing TV. LSRTV would like to thank its loyal fans for their continued support, and we hope you enjoyed tonight's broadcast.